Hello and welcome back to Karma Stories. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today I have some stories for you from the HOA subreddit. We haven't visited this one for a while. Let's go ahead and just jump right in. This story comes to us from The Botanist. HOA destroyed my rare succulent collection because I had too many plants. When I left Los Angeles after 15 years of petty theft, grime, and constant noise, I thought I was finally finding peace. I rented a townhome in what seemed like a clean, safe neighborhood, perfect for my 10-year-old son and for working remotely. The kitchen was huge, the kind of place where I could finally spread out and cook again. Out front was a patio area where I could display my lifelong collection of succulents. I'm a botanist and a plant collector, and some of those plants were over 20 years old. Brightly colored aloes and agaves, all in hand-thrown Italian clay pots. The HOA rules said we could have plants in front of the unit as long as they were alive and didn't block anything, so I set them up with care. Neighbors often stopped to admire them or ask questions. For a while, everything felt right. Then came the first warning. The HOA fined me $50 because my 10-year-old son couldn't lift a heavy trash bag into the bin. They said they had video evidence. That's when I realized the entire place was under constant surveillance. Cameras pointed everywhere, even catching him playing with a soccer ball outside. A few months later, I got an email saying I had too many plants. That was the violation. Too many. I replied with a full breakdown of the species, explaining that they barely used water compared to the fruit trees and vegetable planters that other residents had. 2 days later, I came home to find my collection hacked apart. Rare agaves and aloes that had taken decades to grow had been cut to pieces by a gardener the HOA sent without my consent. When I demanded an explanation, they said the gardener misunderstood directions and tried to claim the space outside my door was community property. It wasn't. It was the frontage of my rented unit, with no easement or sidewalk. I told them that if they ever touched my plants again, I'd take them to court and sent them an estimate for the damages. They went silent. Months later, when wildfire ash covered everything, I heard a familiar sound outside. The same gardener was back, blowing ash into the air with a leaf blower despite a city ban. I ran outside, told him to stop or I'd call the police. He turned it off right away, said he thought it was stupid too, but was told to do it. That was the last straw. I moved out. Now I live in a duplex where my landlord actually appreciates my collection, and water isn't so full of chlorine that it hurts the plants. After reading a bunch of the comments, OP updated this one and said, November 16th, I'm sending a demand letter and will take them to small claims. Thanks for the encouragement. What I learned is simple. HOAs are a waste of time. They exist to control, not to build community. I'll never live under one again. Jumping into the comments on this one, there's one from a user called Night Manager. It says, I'd give them a crap fit and explain they are highly rare, and you'll look into a replacement value, but you suspect it's into 5 figures. Yeah, I deal with some $20,000 plants occasionally. Just let them consider, gee, maybe that was a bad move. You can later revise and report that they were not the rare one, but a much more affordable $100 each. Another commenter down below called Rich Vermicelli 1435 said, This is long, but please read before you do anything. I practiced law for 25 years. Do not take them to small claims court. You are entitled to much more in damages than you can get there. You had plants that were difficult to procure, and then spent years growing them. They destroyed years of your hard work. The price of the plant is nothing like the true value of your claim. Their indiscriminate destruction in violation of their own policies and the law is grossly negligent, at least, which brings in punitive damages in most jurisdictions. Also, you want a jury deciding your case, not a small claims judge. People may make fun of emotional damages. This was obviously an extremely distressing situation and has affected your life in significant ways you won't realize are important. Also, there are actual damages that they should pay that you won't realize you should get. Meet with a lawyer, please. The HOA will have one, and you do not want to go up against one yourself, regardless of how smart you are. If you don't lose on the merits, you are likely to get home cooked because their lawyer will have undoubtedly represented the HOA in that court perhaps in front of that judge many times before. Maybe the judge trusts the lawyer and gives him the benefit of the doubt, or the HOA has a good reputation in front of him that makes the judge less likely to take your evidence seriously. That doesn't mean they're bad people, they're just human. Get a free consultation, and I believe you can find an attorney who will take this on a contingency basis, meaning little or no money up front. You need to sue the HOA and its individual members. There are lots of reasons. Get a lawyer. Also, you have to sue the gardener who did it. The board's defense is that it's his fault. If they prove that, they win. Also, he should have known that he was violating your property rights. Actually, that he was willing to violate the air quality orders with the "I was only following orders" excuse, even when he knew it was illegal, means he knows he's doing wrong. You must get a lawyer. Otherwise, they will win. Even if you did, they won't have to pay nearly enough to learn a lesson, and they will continue in their current ways. Did I mention that you should get a lawyer right now? Well, OP, from this comment, it looks like you have a lot more to think about than you might have initially thought. It sounds like you can go scorched earth on this one if you really want to, but obviously, that's completely up to you. If you want to take down all these people, including the gardener that said they were just doing what they're told, although they do have responsibility, well, go for it. This story comes to us from I Was Born to Do Go Be. We didn't just beat our HOA, we humiliated them. So our HOA board and management company thought they ran the neighborhood like their own little fiefdom. Secret meetings, selective enforcement, power trips, the usual nonsense. Then a bunch of us homeowners got fed up, organized a coalition, and went to war. Examples: 1. Disrespecting a veteran memorial. The HOA board publicly referred to a fallen soldier's memorial as dead plants, even though the homeowner had written permission for the installation, simply because that homeowner had challenged the board on other issues. Number 2. Abusing contracts and vendor relationships. They issued questionable, non-transparent RFPs to hire vendors, often without board consensus or proper review, raising concerns of favoritism and backdoor deals. Number 3. Manipulating elections and board seats. They lied in meetings about vote counts, installed board members based on preference instead of actual election results, and filled vacancies without homeowner approval, all to keep their allies in control despite overwhelming homeowner opposition. Number 4. Documented retaliation in writing. In a stunning move, a board member actually wrote in an email that the HOA president was making life hell for a homeowner who spoke out, and that same homeowner was later identified in a public record when the president called the police on a fellow board member during a dispute. Number 5. Weaponizing governance and intimidation. They repeatedly targeted outspoken homeowners with excessive scrutiny, false claims, and even police involvement, creating a hostile environment intended to silence dissent. And we didn't just win, we obliterated them. The longtime president lost her re-election in a landslide. Another board member resigned in disgrace. The one guy left on the board, for now, got blocked from any officer position. And the management company, they resigned before they could be fired. The homeowners took the board back, and the old guard's control collapsed overnight. We will replace the guy who resigned this week, and then have the last idiot standing removed and replaced. Finally, instead of bowing out gracefully, they're lashing out like toddlers denied a juice box. The outgoing management company just tried to punish me by plastering a simple, fully compliant backyard project request, something that doesn't even require approval, on a public meeting agenda. Full address, public comment invited. It's petty, vindictive, and completely outside standard procedure. This isn't about landscaping, it's about revenge. But here's the best part. Every single thing they said and did last week only makes them look more pathetic. Their little gotcha stunt is a textbook retaliation, selective enforcement, and misuse of homeowner info. And it's going straight into a state complaint, and possibly a lawsuit. We won, they lost, and now they're handing us evidence as parting gifts. We outlined this in a final warning email to the HOA lawyer and his boss, and they caved. Moral of the story: fight back, organize, document everything. When you do, the HOA doesn't just lose, They melt down trying to make you regret it. And nothing is sweeter than watching their power trip end in total humiliation. OP added a quick update down at the bottom. It says, update, HOA meeting tonight was the most productive, peaceful, and collegiate meeting we have had all year. And the last idiot standing is leaving. We got everything we wanted. A call for candidates has gone out to replace the resigning bad actor board members, and the remaining board will choose from the candidates. Jumping into the comments on this one, we have one from a user called LonelyWorld981. It says, the new HOA board should fire the law firm and submit ethics complaints to the bar. I hope you can sue the former board as individuals too. Another commenter down below called CalmVegetable2162 said, now is the time to order a full audit of all financial transactions for the past 10 years. There may be criminal misuse of HOA funds uncovered. Seeing the former HOA members being carted off to jail will be the icing on the cake. OP responded and said, laugh out loud, that would be awesome. Our treasurer position is currently vacant because we opted not to install the last board member unassigned into that position, because we're getting rid of him too. And our governing documents don't require the secretary or treasurer position be filled by a board member. We have put a homeowner up for the position who is a forensic accountant. A full accounting will be done and the book set to rights as we replace the board member who resigned, remove the butt hat left, and replace him. There's so many stories like this in this subreddit and over in Just No HOA, where people are complaining about their HOAs and everything they do, and they have horrible board members and all that. Well, you know what you need to do is get together with your fellow homeowners and overturn that board. You can get them voted out, get yourself voted in, and make things the way you want them to be. It's difficult, it'll take a lot of work, but it can be done. This story comes to us from Anon298398-498. I get injured by a neighbor's dog on my own property, get asked, why don't you mind your own business? And this is an HOA board member. Backstory, my neighbor lets his dog off leash, which is a violation of both our city ordinance and our association. This neighbor is also on the board of said association. I've been scratched up twice on my own property by his dog on my way to outings, almost 2 years apart. During the in-between times, I started videoing their dog on my property and reporting to the HOA. No one seems to care on the board, no fines that I'm aware of, and the behavior continues, which results in feeling like I can't enjoy my own property without dealing with this crap. That neighbor then told me I was using oppressive techniques on him and that I should mind my own business, and that was before I was scratched up the second time on my own property. The first time I was scratched up, I was headed to a get-together with other neighbors, so they all saw my bleeding arm and heard the story. I've been told by one of those neighbors that the dog has been loose further away in the neighborhood and has concerned neighbors that the dog might be hit by a car over there. The other night, I came home and the dog was off leash again almost to the street after finally getting the police involved last month. The owner was standing away from him and I was afraid the dog was going to run into the street, given what the other neighbor had shared with me previously. I yelled at the neighbor about the dog being off leash and then parked in my own driveway. That neighbor then leashed his dog and came over to say, why don't you mind your own business? Yet again, to which I replied, it is my business if it's my property and I've been injured. He said, no, it's not. And of course, it becomes my business if I have to worry about or actually hit an unleashed dog by no fault of my own. So I told him I was going to get his response on video and started recording. I then repeated what I said on video, and he then replied, you're pathetic, and walked away. This neighbor is running for HOA board again, according to one of my neighbors. I'm tired of cowards who don't follow rules and then still run for HOA board. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Soviet Chewbacca. It says, you can trespass both the owner and the dog from your property. The owner is responsible for the dog. If the dog comes back, film and report it to the police. Another user down below called Parodidex said, you need to call animal control, file a complaint on each incident, and then get the dog listed as a dangerous animal. That may be the only thing that makes Mr. HOA Butthole actually control his animals. Go to the board meetings, Demand an open agenda and report this guy. Name and shame. Show the videos. If they refuse, cite state laws that regulate HOA meetings, and make sure all the board of directors' names are reflected in your complaint. OP mentioned a couple times in the comments that they weren't actually bitten by the dog, that it's just a very large dog that gets excited and jumped up on OP because they like to see OP. But in my opinion, that doesn't make it any better. OP was still injured by this dog because the owner didn't have it on a leash, which they are supposed to do. So it's still falling on the owner that the dog is not contained and injured OP. It's time to call animal control, like the commenter said. This story comes to us from Great Stone Drake. I don't even belong to an HOA. Apparently, although our house is not in an HOA, our sewer system runs into what is supposedly the HOA's big sewer pond. They want to charge us a few hundred a year per side of a duplex to use the sewer. We were not notified about any of this before we bought the property. In the beginning, I didn't have a huge problem with it, except he was trying to charge me for a year or so of sewer from before I bought the home, even after we showed that the bill was before we bought the home. I figured up what our bill was for the couple of years we had not paid because we weren't part of the HOA and paid it. Then I got another bill for the frame of time when I bought the house to the current. At that moment, it was a couple of years ago. So he took the money I paid and used it for the previous owner's bill. So I refused to pay anymore. Have mostly ignored each other and occasionally spoken about it over the last few years. Me saying, I'll pay for my bill, I'm not paying what I've already paid, and I'm not paying for the old bill. He got on Nextdoor to inform me that I never paid a darn thing. He wasn't trying to charge me for anyone else's bill, and I was a horrible, horrible, non-bill paying slimeball. I sent him a message asking for a way to pay that was verified, like Venmo, PayPal, or something. He never answered me, and a few months later, he has filed a mechanics lien as well as small claims court case. From what I can find, first of all, a mechanics lien is not the right type of lien, and specifically does not cover your utilities, and specifically in my state, does not cover HOA utilities. I also just discovered while going through the paperwork that they set off our sewer on 5/16/25, which then begs the question, where is our sewer going? And I know for a fact the county told him he was not allowed to block that line and could only petition for me to pay the bill. Apparently, he didn't listen. HOAs are the WTF of my life, I'm telling you. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Cake Real. It says, time for your own lawyer. OP responded and said, oh, trust me, I know, but seriously, I make less than $600 a month right now. My life completely fell apart a year ago after a slow decline for several years, and I'm just now starting to swim back up to the top. A lawyer is way out of my reach, especially in the limited time I have before court. OP, I think there's a couple of other options here that you haven't explored yet. Number one, contact legal services. They might be able to assist you. Or if you have a local law school, contact them and see if they have a school legal clinic that could help you out. Those new lawyers need experience, and this might be a way for them to help you. The major concern here is where OP said they set off our sewer on 5/16/25. So like OP asked, where the heck is all of your wastewater going? Is it all just sitting in the sewers and getting backed up now and eventually going to come back up into your house? You don't know this. You don't know what they've done. Get yourself a lawyer through legal help or through a school if you can. You need some kind of representation. This story comes to us from Millie Grande. HOA is threatening to fine me because my dog is a fat butt. I adopted my dog, mixed breed, 3 years ago when he was underweight with behavioral issues. The apartment HOA has a rule that dogs cannot go over 25 pounds. When I moved in, I provided documents showing his weight and got approval. I only moved in because it's difficult to find a place that has amazing rent and is in an amazing location and is pet friendly. Over the past year, he's gained some weight. I'll be honest, he's a chonker. He's very food motivated and will eat anything that hits the floor. Like he'll literally bum rush and scoop up the food before it hits the ground, and will steal food if left unattended. I've been working with my vet on a weight loss plan, switching his food, measuring portions, increasing walks, but progress is slow. What can I say? He loves to eat. Anyway, the HOA sent me a violation notice stating that my dog exceeds the weight restrictions outlined in the community guidelines and are demanding that I either rehome him within 30 days or face daily fines of $50 until he's under the weight limit or removed from the property. He's been my companion for 3 years, and I told them I'm actively trying to help him lose weight. That's not his original size or even natural size, and I got the vet record showing we're working on it. HOA says it doesn't matter that he was within limits when I moved in, and they don't care about weight loss plans. They rudely said maybe I should try doggy Ozempic. Is that even a thing? Because I think it's sarcasm. I really hope they can't force me to get rid of my dog due to him being overweight. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called BeerGoggles222. It says, I'm wondering how the HOA knows how much he weighs. I mean, yeah, they can see he's gained weight, but are they making your dog do weigh-ins? Rules work both ways. If they're going to be sticklers about the weight limit, then they need to have some sort of evidence that he's exceeding it beyond some Karen's visual estimate. At least that would be my initial approach. Another commenter down below called Duder McDuder said, ask them for their guidelines. If it doesn't say that once your dogs are approved or whatever, they can retroactively fine you, then tell them. If they fight back, say you'll get a lawyer and they should leave you alone. HOA guidelines are basically just contracts. If they approved your dog and it's the same dog, there shouldn't be an issue. This commenter has a point. OP, you should probably already have a copy of the CCNRs and should take a very good look at the wording on pets because your dog was approved. If there's nothing in there saying that they can weigh your dog down the line to make sure that they're still under that prescribed weight, then they don't have a leg to stand on. They can't just make up rules as they go. Rules have to be voted on to be added into the CCNRs. Please don't let them walk all over you because it's just a precedent that you set that makes them walk all over everybody else. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow us on your preferred podcasting platform. If you're on YouTube, please drop a like on the video. It really does help us out. I thank each and every one of you for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.